welcome to Off the Post, brought to you by Lights on Electric and Coverall Exteriors. I'm Russ Cohen. We've got Anthony Mingione. And how are you?
Apparently, I'm the hatless member of this podcast today.
Yeah, it's that time of year.
Not hapless, but I am hatless.
You're
like
hapless.
And we have Michael Jello. Mike, how are you?
You also have the most hair on top, so that's why.
Yep.
Was that it? That's all you're going to say, Mike?
Yep.
Okay. That's it. So let's talk about the NHL. The NHL is closed. We just wanted to tell you that. Show's over. Thanks for showing up, people. Appreciate it.
Yeah, have a good one.
Have a good one now. We'll talk about the Olympics. I only watched some clips from the early women's games, so I didn't get a great feel for like the ice and things and how things were going. But I did watch today's game with Slovakia and Finland, and so the first thing I noticed is anything we decided that we were calling these guys, or they told us it was okay to call them, all their names have changed for the Olympics.
Oh, please. I saw
and I'm not here for that.
I saw a rather attractive Swedish lady was on X, and she pronounced every Swedish name and pronounced it in Swedish, not like we pronounce it. And what I have to say,
and there was also a Finnish follow-up too.
Yeah, and what I have to say to that is F you. I'm sorry.
No, I don't say that. I just say we do the best we can.
Yeah,
that's what I say.
It's what it is. I mean, we try, and we appreciate. And I'll say this: that we appreciate the players' patience with regards to how because as most people know, if they know anything about Czech, they know that it's not Dan Vladar, it's Vladosh.
Yeah,
the actual pronounce of the last name.
Yeah.
William Nylander.
Yeah. It is what it is. I mean, we're like every other radio guy where if you mention how a player's name is supposed to be pronounced, the radio guy invariably says, "Well, I'm not doing that. I'm doing it, I'm not doing all that."
Well,
Gene Hart, I will say this about Gene Hart. Gene Hart was very good of making sure that names were pronounced properly. He was last of a breed, I feel.
Yeah. Well, and one of Mike's favorites played today, Martin Marincin, and we'll talk about him in a minute.
Yeah.
Warm thoughts.
No, not warm thoughts. I was just going to say there are statues at Gettysburg that are more mobile than Martin Marincin.
Hell, Mike thinks he's more mobile than Martin Marincin.
I am.
So, but as far as the ice, for the first period and a half, it was fine. And what's interesting is, and this is just the Peacock Olympic streaming conundrum that you get in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching on my computer, but luckily I have a really big screen, like a 26-inch screen, so it's fine, right? I don't care. But the interesting thing is, in between periods, there's nothing, right? So all they show you is the darkened ice with, and then usually just working on the net. But what I noticed is they were working in the corners in between second and third period, both corners. Now, the interesting thing about that is Apollo Ono was talking about the speed skating and how the corners were getting a little soft for skaters during the event. So clearly, Brian Boucher said, "Hey, this is getting a little snowy," and I kind of saw that too. So the ice isn't perfect everywhere yet.
Well, because I was watching one of the few benefits of living in Buffalo is that we get the CBC broadcast, and in between periods. First of all, they have a panel. It's an amalgamation of TSN and Sportsnet.
Yeah, that's been fun.
So you had a 5-person panel with Duthie, Cheryl Pounder, Cassie Campbell-Pascal, Bieksa, and Elliot Friedman.
Yeah.
So there was very little space in between.
So it's like the Suicide Squad.
But yes. Yes, and Elliot Friedman is Will Smith. But the point that Cassie Campbell made, which backs up what Apollo Ono made, is they going on the ice, and some of the players for Team Canada from yesterday said the ends of the ice near the boards are slanted and that's not good. They showed highlights of the puck going around the boards and it bumping up and down, and it's sort of not following the normal track that the puck should show. So as we expected, this rink is a cluster bleep.
Yeah, I said it looked like an ECHL rink, and unfortunately, this is the thing though, and this is, again, this happens in some Olympics. It's not like Italy's the only place this has ever happened. But like, these places have 8 years to get this right. and it's just mind-boggling. The athletes always get it right. They're ready to show their best, and it's a little disappointing when that happens. But anyhow, as far as the game went, UC Staros still stinks. He's always going to stink.
Perfect timing, Michael.
I didn't get a spit take out of it.
That was perfectly timed.
That was legitimate. I was like,
the timing was exquisite.
But it's just unbelievable. Like, look, he's a pretty good goalie. He is. But this year he's got an .892 save percentage, which is even under league average. So, like, the first goal, and Mike, I know you watched a little. The first one that Slavkovsky got, hey, if he was a 6'4" goalie, he may have been able to make that shot change. I'm not saying it would have been a save.
Yeah, I mean, Mikko Lehtinen, who played about 2 seconds in the NHL, and when he did, he sucked with the Leafs. He basically put it on a tee for Slavkovsky, and he walked in. So I can't blame him on that one. But Russ,
the second Slavkovsky,
he was deep in the net, and Slavkovsky went
high.
Yeah, yeah, right, exactly. So,
and that's a killer. Like, that was a killer because Finland has a lot of good players.
Can someone explain something to me, though?
Go ahead.
Why was Mikko Rantanen 8th on the team in minutes?
I don't know.
It's like one of your best forwards, talent level wise. You're playing him 8th most minutes.
Maybe he's banged up.
Well, no. The CBC play-by-play was basically saying that the bottom 2 lines were playing a lot more energetic than the top 2 lines. God. And at a certain point, the Finnish coach, he was playing the bottom. I think he probably knew they were going to lose, and he was sending a little bit of a lesson to Rantanen and Aho.
And hard lesson.
Yeah, well, I mean, what I think is, Russ, they were looking ahead to the next game, which is Sweden on Friday, and they overlooked Slovakia, and that's dangerous in this tournament. Because
listen, they better look ahead for like next year and the next 5 years, because I told you the Finnish hockey program is suffering. It's suffering at the higher levels, and it's suffering at the junior levels, and it needs to improve. And if you get coaching like that, guys are going to stop showing up. Like, Rantanen's not going to show up next time if this guy's coaching. If he keeps shortening minutes, like, he's going to be like, why am I here?
Well, the funny thing is that the coach that won the gold medal for Finland I think they said for Finland in 2022 at the Olympics is now coaching Italy.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
and a problem that guy, all he did is win.
I do feel vindicated because I made Dalibor Dvorsky a top 3 player last year. I voted for him in the World Juniors. He did not get that honor, but I felt like he deserved it. But I got to tell you, Mike, he looked really good for Slovakia. He was the next best player.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, they got good performances out of their top players and their goalie, who is an AHL goalie for Iowa.
Yeah, Samuel Halabai. Used to be Halabai, but
he was phenomenal. He out-goaltended Saros. So, yeah. I mean,
and this is something, Anthony, that if you're the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, you're watching video of this because he is a free agent. And you know what? If you're Danny Briere, you're like, this guy's a free agent. He's a 6'4" goalie. He's kind of not broken through.
Yep.
He'd be an extra good goalie to have in the system.
It's entirely possible. You have to prepare for, again, this is now year 3. I think the end of Alexei Kolosov's ELC.
Yeah.
Might be a possibility. You're going to obviously you're invested in Bjarnason at this point right now.
Kolosov's not been playing great since he's back there.
No, he I mean, listen, starting with he was good, and then he came up to Philly, gave up 3 goals on 3 shots, and then pretty much the mojo was gone. It felt like after he had a good run there. So yeah. I mean, I think it's possibility there. I think that
you have to look at it like he played great
because again, you still have you've got Bjarnason. He'll go into year 2, so you want to have at least a decent bounce. Again, you're still waiting on. You don't know what's going to happen with Sam Ersson.
No, Zevragan, you don't know if he's coming.
You have to kind of keep. And Zevragan's at least another probably 2 years before you probably see him. So you have to paper this thing together.
There's no worries here. Don't worry, because the rumors are that Anthony Stolarz is coming back to Philadelphia.
Not on that contract.
Everything.
Not on that contract.
The last time he was in Philly, Mike, he didn't play much. And I'm trying to think, who was the coach then, Anthony, when Anthony Stolarz got sat for like 8 or 10 games?
Yeah.
Who was the coach?
Yeah.
Scarhead?
Anyhow, that's revisionist history. It's old stuff, but the game was pretty good, and I don't think I'll be watching Canada. I'm not Canada, Sweden, Italy. Like, why would I watch it?
Come on, just from a curiosity standpoint.
I'm watching it right now, and it's remarkably close. It's only 3-2 Sweden after 2. They were at one point Sweden was out shooting Italy 31-4, and it was 2-2.
And yet. But again, the Italians, listen, they're known for, in soccer, the Italians are known for their defensive tradition. If they're somehow keeping the Swedes on the perimeter, it don't matter how many shots you're getting.
Well, I will say this, with the smaller rink, and it's obvious, because like if you make a stretch pass, not a stretch pass, just a first pass, if a guy takes 3 strides, he's at center ice. Like it is legitimately smaller. And so I do think it's easier to play that tight defensive game if you're good at getting the puck out. And I think you can frustrate a team, or at least temporarily. I'm sure Sweden's going to win by 4 or 5 goals. But, for them playing close, and even in the first period, at least it's not Peter Forsberg versus Japan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, the one observation they also said was, even though they said because of the shorter dimensions that the distance was taken out between the blue lines, the corners they're different. They're different.
I can see it.
And goaltenders are basically being told stay in the net.
Yeah, because it's different angles. Like everything's
different angles. You don't know what the caram's going to be, and I worry about the goalie going behind. If the goalie goes outside, the slant towards the boards. I worry about that with a goal.
But the one observation I'll make from Slovakia, Finland is it had NHL officials. And guys like Nico Mikkola and Ristolainen were cross-checking in front of the net and like doing the usual soaring bullshit that they do, and nothing was getting called. And you know what? Tom Wilson and the Kachuk brothers are rubbing their hands.
I guess because I did see a takedown that wasn't called either. It really was weird how nothing was being called.
This tourney's going to be. I mean, we've all been kind of leaning towards it's going to get physical, ugly. As much as you want high skill, there's again for people who, and I get why you want the skill guys, but I really have my concerns about this tournament being a true skill tournament.
True. Now, Mike, is William Nylander playing in this game?
I believe he scored the 3rd goal for Sweden, so he is playing. I mean, I thought
he'd be playing in this game. This game is like almost insignificant. They should win no problem. Like, should he play?
Got to get used to. Here's the thing: they got to get used to being on that ice and playing out there. That's the thing. You're playing in a. I almost have to play the player in these games that you might see insignificant because they've got to get used to how the puck rolls, where the puck's going.
No, that's true.
That's part of it, Russ.
Well, through 2 periods, he's played 6 minutes and 5 seconds, which isn't the most, but it's not the least. And typical, they're carrying 7 defensemen and 13 forwards, so they could lighten up on it if they start to open up a bigger lead. I mean, so that's
and they might sit back a little. The one thing I would say for the U.S. team, actually 2 things I would say. Jack Hughes, I wouldn't even play him in the first game. Like he's still, that finger is not 100%. Like I there's no point in risking it, but they will, because that's what they do. And the other thing is, honestly, to me, Connor Hellebuck on a smaller rink is not as good as Jake Ottinger. Jake Ottinger's got much better reflexes and quicker post to post. And to me, it favors him. But again, this is USA Hockey, so who knows what they're going to do. What's your feeling about that?
And you go first.
I mean, for me, I still have to kind of go with Hellebuck in this in the just to get him underway. He's your best. I feel like he's your best option. Let him play himself out of it. Basically, if he struggles, then in that case, you switch to Ottinger. It's a tournament and it's a shortened one, and you can't have feelings about it if you don't perform at this level. There's other options. So I look at it as it's up. I would start with Hellebuck, let him get that early rhythm going in net, and see where things go.
Well, Hellebuck's probably going to start against Latvia, and then they have back-to-back against Denmark and Germany. So they'll play Ottinger one of those games. They'll probably play a Hellebuck against Germany.
But we all agree you don't want to give the keys to Jeremy Swayman. I don't.
No, just like Sweden, they were talking on the broadcast. Gustafsson let in 2 goals on 4 shots. The next guy up is Markstrom.
It really shouldn't be. It should be Jesper Wallstedt.
Like, Wallstedt's a kid. You're not going to expose. I mean, he's in the NHL. He's facing the best talent in the world.
And he could be a Calder finalist, is the way he's playing.
Like, he can't play against Italy.
I'm sorry, how old was Jim Craig when he was on that? I forget, different era. Anyhow, and what were you going to say?
No, in just terms of, I've already said my piece on that, so.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, he's not too young. I mean, that's a little silly. All right, so let's get into like the NHL trading deadline. We certainly can talk about that because GMs can talk now, and so I'm sure they are.
Yeah, because Mike can't write a blog right now without "sell" in the title.
Maybe it's just a better
sell.
Yeah. I swear, Mike sells more than the.
But don't you, for the SEO,
Norm should hire you.
Don't you have to mix it up and give like a little intrigue to the sell? Like, don't you need to do that?
Screw intrigue.
What part of subtle is Mike?
As a sledgehammer.
Seriously.
So we'll start off with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Buyers, sellers, or both?
Sell. But it's a question of how much sell. I mean, there is an indicator. And I didn't think they were going to go down this road. Obviously, it's not going to be full rebuild. And obviously, it's not going to be sell everything that's not nailed down because that's as close to a rebuild as you're going to get. And you've got 2 star players on this team and some good players. So you're not going to sell everybody. But the way I've broken it down, and I'm writing about it every day, obviously, for Hockey Hot Stove, because there's little news other than the Olympics. And
I'm covering Team Latvia for Hockey.
There you go. Thank you.
You're going to get the best Albert Smith's coverage of anybody on the blog.
Zemgus Jurgensen loves you, Russ. But the way I've broken it down, I said I think there's a possibility, and not because I was wishing it, but because Elliot Friedman said so, was that Stolar's name is out there, and you would think, okay, he just signed this extension, and we all think that extension in terms of term was ridiculous. Money-wise, not, but there are teams out there, and there is not a glut of goaltending out there. And the thing is,
it's a thin market because everybody's been signed to 2-year deals a year ago.
Yep.
Right. No, and they could say, well, we'll worry about the term on this deal 2 years from now and maybe buy him out. But if we can get a goalie that, had a great year last year and was injured this year, then, I don't think the price on him is going to be ridiculous because I think the Leafs look at their goaltending and say Wall and Hildeby going forward. And Hildeby won't clear waivers next year, so he's got to be in the NHL. So, right. And I don't think they're trading Wall because Wall's been the better of the 2 goalies.
He still has to kind of prove it, but I think he's closer to proving it than not proving it.
Right. Defensively, I think they're going to trade one of Ekman Larsson or Carlo. They might trade some of the, are you going to trade Troy Stetcher for a mid-round draft pick? Maybe, because you need mid-round draft picks. You only have 3 draft picks. So
on Team Sweden, Ekman Larsson's like a throwaway.
Well, I mean, right. Well,
I don't know why, but
because that defense is phenomenal. But
they do have a lot of talent there.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
There's no doubt.
I think he's eventually going to play, but today he's the 7th defenseman. He hasn't played one second.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to trade one of Carlo or Ekman Larsson. I would lean towards Ekman Larsson because Carlo is 5 years younger, and Carlo said he wants to stay in Toronto, and I think he'll cost less because he's a defensive defenseman. He only has 5 points in 30 some odd games, so I think that makes sense. Up front, Bobby McMahon's gone. It's just a question of where and for when, how much they get. I think they can get a first-round pick. Now, supposedly, Edmonton is interested in a deal bigger than just Bobby McMahon, or it's supposedly like Nick Waugh may be involved. They're looking for a right shot center who can play third line. So that I think they'll trade one of Waugh or Lawton because
I don't think they're trading Lawton.
No, I know. That's why I think I would lean towards Waugh because I think Lawton wants to stay in Toronto and they'll get him on an extension at a team friendly amount, which means they trade Waugh and he's got a year of term and they can get a good return on him because he's a playoff proven center. So I think they're going to end up trading between 4 to 5 players. It's not going to be full sell. I mean, if they could get anything from Matias Michelli, I would do it because, well, this is the thing, Russ. You eat 50%. His contract is up at the end of the year. If you're not going to qualify him, and his qualifying offer is $4 million, then you trade him for anything you can get for him.
So are you finally admitting that signing didn't work out, Mike?
It was a trade, and I thought it was a good. I said it was a good swing. But if he was,
there was talk he might play with Matthews, he might do this,
right, and he hasn't fit anywhere. But the thing was, it's like if he was the 40 assist guy, then he would have been a good trade. He turned out to be the guy who couldn't find a position on any line last year with you.
You know the reason, if he's on a team that isn't that great with no pressure, he can get an inordinate amount of ice time and get points that way, and that's what I've always felt about him. But yeah, if they could trade him, they should trade him. But I'm with you. I don't think Lawton's getting traded. I feel like they're still he wants to play there, and I think they want him. Yeah. And what is your feeling about what the Flyers may or may not do?
So my read right now is that I know a lot of Flyer fans may be focusing in on what trades they might do and at the deadline. And at the moment right now, I don't really see it. Like I lean certainly more towards the selling aspect than the buying aspect. I think if they went into the Olympic break on a pretty good run, then you might have been considering.
Yeah.
But they've always been pretty adamant of the fact that they weren't going to go out and acquire rentals. They weren't going to trade prospects for rentals, nor did it make sense based off of that. And since they've kind of regressed a bit here heading into the break.
Hockey trades are hard to make. I think
hockey trades are very hard to make. And I know there was a report, I think Chris Johnston mentioned, in fact, he wasn't sure what way Philadelphia was going to go. I'd be surprised if we're talking about Owen Tippett being moved at the deadline, but I can't rule it out entirely. I mean,
I was asked about Charlie Stramel.
What's that?
I said I was asked on another show about Charlie Stramel.
Yeah, Anthony DeMarco brought him up in a.
He's good. I just don't know if he could even be a second line center. He might be.
But that's where things are now. I mean, if you're looking at a Stramel, who are you trading to Minnesota, for him? I mean,
and his numbers have jumped playing with Martone. Like they weren't this high without Martone. So you have to worry about like the Gabe Perreault playing with the guys that he played.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is right now, is that people are fixated on that with him being at Michigan State and everything. But I'm not against the idea
he's a pretty good player. I like him.
Taking a shot at it. But it's going to the cost is going to be what's going to be the issue. You 6'3", 210, so he fits stereotypical.
He skates well. He's a good skater.
Right. And I think if they were to include, let's say, he makes sense if Philly was looking to move off of, say, I don't know, not Owen Tippett. If they're looking to move off of Nesbitt in this case, because then it would be kind of a guy that you say, hey, he's got a little more offensive upside maybe than Nesbitt will. And then you have that big centerman that you're looking to potentially have there.
Right.
I'm looking at what the trade who you're dealing. Brink invariably has been, they've been, Minnesota's there's been talk about Minnesota with Brink.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's real though. Like I've heard it too.
I don't think so either. I think you have to add a bit more. If Brink's included there, then you're going to have a bit more that's going to have to go in that trade to get Stramel. And again, I'm not necessarily like you. I'm not 100% convinced that he's a scoring line center at the NHL level. Are you just getting? My concern is, are you getting more of what you already kind of have already, which is, this team the Flyers have a situation here where their center situation are guys that might, be high-level third-line centers, okay, maybe second-line centers if everything goes right, but you just don't know. And part of that also is just the center prospects this year, their top two center prospects this year in Luchenko and Nesbitt just aren't doing great in terms of an offensive standpoint.
I'll go out on a limb here. It's like, because I don't know a ton about him. Russ, you'd know more about Stramel than I would. Yeah. But he's from St. Paul, and the Wild are not deep up the middle. So why would you trade a guy? Now he's not going to step into the NHL right now, but we
don't know. Like, just because he's from there doesn't mean he wants to sign with them. Maybe they have an inkling he might not sign with them.
Well, I'm okay. If that's the case, then
I think that's maybe where it's at right now.
That's
my guess.
If they have inside knowledge, then you know what? It probably ends up costing them. It probably ends up costing them a first-round pick.
Yeah,
maybe not a 26, but maybe a 27.
It might, maybe in this circumstance, you throw in the lot. Maybe if you're going to Minnesota, Philly really likes him. If you want to move the Lawton pick, for example, I think that might get Minnesota. But there's other things that probably need to be necessarily involved. Could be Brink, could be that pick.
But
it's going to put a bit of pressure certainly on Strammel because the expectations are going to be obviously that much higher.
But the way the Leafs are situated right now, Anthony, I don't know if I would want to give up that pick. It's top 10 protected, but they could be in that mushy middle for a couple years while they're sort of
that pick might actually be pretty valuable for Philadelphia.
They had 2 in 27, so they could just give up one of those.
Right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That Lawton pick is
20. That is a 27.
That is 27.
You could make it whatever pick is lower you get.
Yeah, that's what you do. You make whatever was lower.
The other things I'm looking at with Philly is obviously from the re-signing perspective right now. I think everybody's kind of waiting to see what the Trevor Zegras contract will look like. He did get some time at center right before we got to the Olympic break. I think there's a chance that deal gets done possibly before we get back from the Olympic break.
There's a chance.
The other contract I think that we have to start talking about here is Daniel Vladar's contract. He's got, again, he's on a 2-year deal. He's got one more to go in this circumstance. From a situational standpoint of where you're at with your goalies in the system, and how good Vladar has been, I think it would make a lot of sense for Philadelphia to begin exploring a deal possibly in the talk to his agent about a deal possibly in the 3-year range to extend.
For 3 years, I could do it because he has dropped off a little bit this year, but he's still good.
I'm okay with a 3-year conversation about a 3-year deal.
If he wants 5, I wouldn't do it.
If it's 5, that's a lot. I think he doesn't have enough. I would say in this circumstance, you don't quite have the track record to kind of be in that market. Could they go to 4 with a shaving, obviously, of the
depends what
their again, you got to in my circumstances, you have to be really, again, it's been a great run for Vladar this year. It really has been. And and every goal, again, we're getting to that point now where the number of starts is certainly part of it.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm looking at Vladar here, and I think that's a possibility where you have that conversation about, okay, goaltending wise, even if you think that Javragin's the next guy, it's at least 3 to 4 years down the road.
You still need somebody.
And you need somebody else in that circumstance beyond, and also having a legitimate, space for a legitimate backup to Vladar, because again, I'm not necessarily, unless Sam Urson comes back on a very, very, very cheap deal.
I don't even know then.
I'm not even sure they're going to bring him back even in that.
I'm not even sure they're bringing him back.
I think they're more likely to free agent market or trade.
Sweden didn't bring him back. I don't think the Flyers are either.
No, I don't think so either.
I mean, I was half joking, but it does. There might be a fit there in terms of a guy like Stolarz, because
not with that contract, Mike. Not with that contract.
Maybe they take a contract back. Maybe they want, if you want, maybe they take a contract back. Maybe they
sure. You're going to take Son Couturier's contract, sure. Then they would do it.
No, or maybe they retain. Maybe they retain. No,
it's going to have to be a lot. It have to be a lot of. And how many years is Stolarz's contract?
4.
Yeah,
4.75.
They won't do it. They won't do it. They won't do it.
Let's talk about the Rangers. I think Braden Schneider is going to be in play.
Well, I was going to
ask under Mike Sullivan's system.
I was going to ask that because I find it hard. I find it hard to believe, but because he would seem to be a Sullivan type of defenseman.
Yeah, it's just not working out though. I mean, here's what I would liken it to. I remember when Bill Parcells took over the Jets, James Farrier was a linebacker. Parcells came in, and the Jets used to run a 3-4, and he goes, "Well, we're going to go 4-3, so we're going to have to trade you." And they traded him, and he won a Super Bowl with the Steelers because he's a great player. Yeah. I think Schneider's a really good player. I just think he's not going to fit in with this system, and I do think he's marketable as a 24-year-old defenseman, and he hits like a ton of bricks.
Right.
He can bring a little more offense.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
No problem. No, again, I agree with you on that, Russ. I have my concerns about Schneider's fit. I think with Sullivan, I do too. That said, if you're going to move off of him, I think now you're going to get. There's a chance of a pretty good, decent return if you move him.
Yes, and I think they have to find guys that they can get decent returns. Like Carson Soucy was a no-brainer because he wasn't going to be there. Right. But they don't have a lot of guys. Like Mika Zibanejad doesn't want to go anywhere, so I don't think he's going anywhere. And he's had a good season, but now he's not a center anymore. That's the problem with that.
Yeah.
So Noah Laba is filled in at center, and he's okay. He's never going to be any kind of scorer, but he could at least play the position. But I think for Schneider, they can get something. I think Adam Fox isn't going anywhere. For people that were talking about that, he's not going anywhere.
What about Trocheck?
Trocheck is an interesting one. My gut tells me Sullivan would want to keep Trocheck, and it would have to be something where Drury's like, we can't pass this up. Because the problem is they still are going to need centers. They're not taking it down to the studs, and they're weak at that position already.
If you're New York or if you're Minnesota and you like Trocheck, maybe that's where that's a case.
That's where Strimel could go.
That's where I could see Strimel getting moved.
Yeah.
That's that even more than
because that would play with the reset and all.
Yeah, it would help with the reset and give Minnesota a legitimate additional center that they would be able to effectively replace Marco Rossi.
And then we get more than Strimel for that.
Well, okay.
Get a pick too.
What about this? Because we know that there was chatter between them and Seattle on Panarin. What about Trocheck in a deal with Shane Wright involved?
I don't think they would try. I think Shane Wright is the same talk as Robert Thomas. You load up the Brinks truck, we'll trade him. But I don't think they're actually trading him. He's scoring lately. He had 2 goals, right? I get 2-goal game.
There's so many there's so many waxing and waning kind of commentary on Shane Wright, where the value that supposedly people want to put upon him is that he's a first line center, and then you look at some of the underlining numbers, and they tell wildly different stories depending on what you're looking at.
Right.
Well, last year he had 44 points. This year he's got 22. He's still got 11.
And honestly, I can't tell you how many times I've had people, Flyers fans asking me and saying, "Hey, what about Shane Wright?" And the word is, again, especially as reported, again, by Anthony DeMarco, stated that Philly's not interested in Wright. There's something about him they don't like. So,
well, that's fine. I will tell you, I still think he's going to end up staying there. And as a 22-year-old center, like I said, he had 44 points last year. He's got 22 this year, so maybe he ends up with.
I wouldn't move off of him. I think maybe
move off of me.
I think maybe this is just the case. Sometimes this stuff gets floated out there, and other teams might have interests that are trying to, gin up
to motivate him.
Or it's a case where Seattle is trying to kind of get a little extra jump out of him, so they can kind of say, "Hey,"
and they did.
The value of the player.
He scored a bit more before the break. So I think
I'm Seattle. Honestly, Russ, for me, if I'm Seattle, I'm not moving them.
No,
I don't move them. I don't.
They're going to add because they're close to the playoffs.
Everybody's starving for centers.
Well, that's why I was saying Trocheck. They're not scared away. They want to add players with term. They're not afraid to spend money. They're practically a no tax state. So Trocheck would make sense up the middle along with Chandler, Stevenson, and Beniers. So
we'll do the Sabres in a second. I forgot about Lafreniere. I think there's a chance, but I don't think they're rushing to trade him. But I think that may end up being like a draft day thing.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that being a draft day thing for sure.
I think that's where it'd be. And then Mike, we'll close out with Buffalo. What's your thoughts about what they may do?
Well, I mean, it sounds as if right now they're keeping Tuck. I know the indicators are, from everybody is that, that
so it's no longer a nip tuck situation. It's
but I'm I probably break out my drumsticks. They don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to affect the mojo and the magic. Now, the thing is, nobody's saying here, if all of a sudden they come out of the Olympic break and they start losing and they're up in the playoff spot by a couple points, will that calculation change? I don't know. All I know is that, obviously they're starving to end this playoff drought. And that would lead me to believe that Yarmo will be a limited buyer at the deadline. But it's a question of, is the guy that they have in the organization that they could potentially trade. And I've zeroed in on 2 guys. One is Isaac Rozan, and the other one is Devin Levi. And the only reason I zero in on those guys is because both of them are not waiver exempt next year. And they're not going to carry, they've got 3 goalies right now. They're not going to carry 4. So they're going to trade.
I don't know how much of a market there is for Rozan. He could be a draft day throw-in too for them.
Well, I mean, Russ, the thing is, they played him a little higher in the lineup this year, other than past years, and he scored a little bit. And he's burning up the American. He's got like 24 goals in 30 games in the American.
Yeah, I mean, Jacob Peltier has 20-something goals there too. Like he could be that.
Right. Russ, I get it, but I'm just saying, I think, he's no longer an AHLer. I think he's an NHLer who is waiver exempt, and they're keeping him down there because they have no room. And it still
feels like a draft day trade throw in, like
Well, I mean, but for the right team, in terms of if it's a young team that's looking for a young player and they're giving up a veteran, Roseanne might be somebody that a Chicago or a Nashville or somebody like that is looking. They'll say, okay, we'll take that guy instead of a draft pick. So, I mean,
so my bigger question is, before we end it all, if they came up 2 points short of the playoffs, would fans look at that and say, this was still an improvement from last year? Like, would they say, okay, we didn't make it, but at least it looks better, or would they still be just as mad?
They'll say it's an improvement, but they'll still be pissed. I mean, they'll
be both.
Both things can be true at the same time, Russell.
Yeah, right. The Buffalo Bills are a good team. Did they choke in the playoffs like they did the last year? Yeah, I mean, they didn't get to the Super Bowl, so they choked, or they found a way to lose. And that with the Sabres, it's like they found a way not to make the playoffs. Now, I think that right now they're far enough down the road that they're probably going to make the playoffs. But nobody's counting their chickens in Buffalo. They're counting their chicken wings, but nobody's counting their chickens, because it's like, I'm sorry, this team has not given anybody a reason to believe, other than they've played really great for about 25 games. And I give them full credit for that. But they've got 25 games to go, and they don't need to win 20 of those, but they need to go over 500. And if they all of a sudden wake up coming back from the Olympic break and play like they did in October and November, then they're going to miss the playoffs.
So my final question is, what's greater for belief? The fans' belief in they're making the playoffs, or your belief in Tang?
Oh, my belief in Tang. Are you kidding me?
Unbreakable, unshakable.
Every time I have a cold, I drink Tang and it goes away quick.
Oh, every time Mike watches another Leaf playoff loss, to the Tang.
There wasn't one astronaut that came down and said, I didn't get sick while I was drinking Tang. Not one of them said that.
Oh, Russ, if you're the conspiracy theorist, you probably don't even think they went to the moon.
No, I know they did, Mike. Anyhow, that's it. That's it for Off the Post. We'll catch everybody next time.
Take care, everybody.